Hey guys, in this tutorial we're gonna be making this project that's gonna allow us to take screenshots from any website. So if I reload this, I have it set to load my GitHub page. But for example, if we go to W3 Schools, we copy the link and then we paste it here. We can click enter or click the button here. Then we're gonna have this loading screen and we're gonna get a screenshot of that website that we just took. And then we're gonna be able to see the full page even if we scroll down. And this is the API we're going to be using. So if you go to apiflash.com, I'll leave the link in the description. And you're going to scroll a bit down. And here where it says free plan, you just want to click get for free. And it's just going to ask you to sign up. So just sign up with GitHub or Google. It takes like a minute. And then after that, since I'm logged in already here, we're going to come to this page. And then we can click on dashboard. Then we can click to get started here. And you can see your access key here. So it's going to say access key, so this is what we're going to need. Or if you go to, let me see, I think it's Query Builder, you have access key here and here as well. So you can just copy to clipboard or just grab this key. So I have a React template. There's nothing inside of it. I just remove unwanted files here. And we're only going to be needing one file. We're going to do everything in app since this is going to be a smaller app. So let's start here. So the first thing we're going to be building is a map that's going to be on the top here. And then we're going to have one container that's going to hold this picture. So that's kind of all of our HTML here. So we're going to have a navbar, then a container inside of it, and we're also going to have a form here with input and button. We can remove the action from the form. And then for our button, it's going to be type submit. And we're just going to say take screenshot here. And then we're going to have our hero. So under the nav here, let's make some space, we're going to have a hero. So I'm not going to be adding anything here right now because we're going to have some if statements to check if we got the image, if we have an error showing, if we want to display the loader or not. So this is going to be empty for now. And then I'm going to be using this app CSS file to have all of our styles here. So first, let's remove basic margin and padding. And I'm going to be adding all the styles right now, even if we don't have the loader yet, just so we don't have to mess with styles later on. So we're going to have container that holds, that's inside the nav that holds these, and container here that's going to hold our image. So that's our navbar. Then here we have our form and we also have button and input. So we're just going to add height to the form, just so we can make both of these 100%. So they're the same height. And we can target both the input and the button here. So we're going to have some same styles for both of them. So it looks like this. And then under that we have our hero. So we have a cal here because of a nav bar, and I don't want to have a scroll bar here. And then we can target our container. So we still don't have anything here, but we're going to be adding some styles. So this is just for the error message that's going to be here. This is going to be this image that's showing. Then we can add the styles for our loading here. And we're going to have some animation because we're going to be adding keyframes. And then we're going to have some styles both for before and after, so we can copy this. And lastly here, we're going to have some keyframes. And then finally, since I want to make this responsive, but we only have one container, and this is already going to be responsive since it doesn't have a lot of things. So here I just want to add one media query for container. And that's all for our CSS. So now we can go back to our app, and we're going to need few states. So we can import useState, and we're also going to use useEffect hook because we want to show our page when the page loads. And then here, the first thing we're gonna make is API key variable. And then if we go here, we can grab this key. Then we're also gonna have few states. First state is gonna be for our search, or for our input once we search, so we can make that. And we're gonna set that to an empty string. And we can instantly add this here. So for our input, we can add value. And value is gonna be that state we made, which is search, and we're gonna have our change event to this. So whatever we paste in is now gonna become our search state. And lastly, we can also add autofocus attribute here. So this is only gonna work on page load, so if I refresh, our input is gonna be focused. Then we're gonna have another state, which is gonna be for this image that's gonna be showing here, that you see. We're just gonna call it image set image. And we can also set that to an empty string. And we're also gonna need two more states. One of them is gonna be for displaying errors. So we're just gonna call it error. And we can set this to false at beginning. And the last state we're gonna have is for the loading screen we made. And we can set that to false as well. And I also want to make another variable here, which is going to be URL, because we're going to be using it here. So for example, let me get this URL that it's already finished here, and I'm going to leave the link in the description. So here. So you want to put template literals and then this API key, or URL rather. So it's going to be API flash. Let me explain how this works. So this is the API. Here is our API key variable we made. Then URL is search, which is our state for the input when we type. And then here, this is what they have. So if we go here to documentation, if we scroll down, this is all the things they have. So full page is to get the full page of the screenshot. So you need to set this to true like we did here. If it's false, it's not gonna get the complete page. And then fresh is just so it gets fresh screenshot. So if you wanna get screenshot of the website twice in a row, it doesn't store that in a cache. And other than that, that's our URL here that we can use once we make requests. So I'm going to be linking that in the description. Then let's go back here. So the first thing I want to make is a function that we're going to call when we submit the form. So let's call that search screenshots. And we're going to pass E here, so we can prevent the default first. And we want to call this function once we submit the form. So we're going to add onSubmit here. And we're going to call search screenshot. So this doesn't have anything inside of it yet. So before that function, I want to make a function that makes the request. And after we have that, I can call this function here once we submit the form. And I can also call it inside useEffect, so we get first page on load. So this is, we're gonna make a function that gets our screenshots here. And then we're gonna make it async, so add async here. So await fetch URL. So URL is this variable that calls our URL here. Then after that's done, we're gonna check if we didn't get the error. So for that, we can check if response.ok. So if we don't have an error, we're gonna set our state for the image we made, which is set image, to that response we got. And we also wanna set loading to false here. And then we're gonna have else, and we're gonna set our error to true. So if response is okay, we're gonna set our image to response. Otherwise, we're gonna set our error message to true. And also a few more things. Once we get screenshots every time, I wanna clear the input first. So we're gonna have here set search. Let's see, set search. We're gonna set that to an empty string to clear the input. Wanna clear the error, so we're gonna set the error to false. And we wanna set the loading to true each time we run this function. So this is the function we're gonna call inside our search screenshots. So once we submit the form, we're calling this function. And right now, it's not gonna do anything because we're not displaying anything right here. But why I have set search here is because you guys can add a URL here that I did for my GitHub page. So once you reload the page, it's gonna render that instead of an empty page. So I'll grab my URL and put it there. You guys can put anything you want. I'm just gonna have my GitHub page here, or the page you wanna have screenshot of. So I'll save that. And then here, we're gonna have use effect, which is gonna run that function when the page loads. So we're getting our profile, and then it's gonna set search to an empty string or just clear the input. So let's make that use effect. And we're only gonna run it once when the page loads. And here we can also set search to an empty string. And we can call that function we made, which is get screenshots, because we want to see our profile when the page loads. So right now, here, we need to add that image, we need to add the error message, and our loading screen. So we're going to have some if statements inside our hero here. So let's make some space. So inside the hero section, we want to check if loading is false, so you can do exclamation mark loading. And also if error is false. So let's make some space here so you guys can see it. So if that's the case, here we want to render the container first. And inside of that container, we want to check if the image exists, because if you don't check for that, you're gonna see that image is broken for like a second or two here, and then it's gonna disappear. So we want to check for image. So we can do image and end, like this. And then inside of that, we want to render our image. And our source is gonna be image URL. And we can add an alt text, let's just add background. But before adding image, we also want to wrap it in an anchor link, so we can actually open this image once we click on it in a new page. So here, before the image, we just want to add anchor link. And we're going to close it after the image. So href is going to be the same as image source, so image.url. And then the other thing we're going to have is target blank, that's so we can open it in a new window. Like that. We want to add parentheses here, which should be closed here. And then here we're going to add else. And then we're going to check if error is false. And if loading is true here. And if that's the case here, we want to render that loading component we made, or just a div, we don't have it as component. Like that. And then here we also want to check if error is true. And if it is, we want to render a container with that h2 we made, which is going to say an error message. And lastly, line 66 here, we can add else here and just put an empty string. So there's our URL here. So once the page loads, we're going to get our screenshot. And then, for example, if we click on it, it's going to open here. If we go to W3 schools and we paste that link, take screenshot, we're going to have a loading screen. Then we're going to get the full page here. Let's try going to my YouTube or any other URL, doesn't matter. Let's paste that in, click enter. So it gets my YouTube page here. And then if we type something that's not an URL and we take a screenshot, it's just going to say, please enter a valid URL. So that's going to be it for this project, guys. I hope you learned something new. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.